Hey YouTube. Take two so far of my attempt to get a video on this low voltage tool bag, my primary tool bag for all the electrical work I do. First one was interrupted. Maybe I'll have a blooper reel of, let me show you. You can see all the cat hair on there. So it's one of Mr. Floof's here favorite places to lay down. The other being my computer chair. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Are you in your happy place? Okay. You just sprawl out there. Good Floofs. Alright. There we go. So yeah, forgive the gratuitous amounts of cat hair. This is my primary tool bag for field work. I have other tool bags for specialized purposes, but this is what I do the majority of my work out of. Nice, let's start in the front. Here I have just an extremely minimal ouchie kit, just some alcohol pads and band-aids. Some gloves there in case I'm handling icky stuff. Some stickers for telling people not to unplug stuff they ought not unplug. Oh, I guess I should mention the bag itself. So I've tried various different bags over the years. This is CLC. They're kind of upper mid-end of tool bags. They're not high-end like Vito Pro Pack, and they're not low-end like Husky, I guess, or some no-name stuff. But they're okay. I've used smaller versions back when I was doing residential cable and I was doing lots of exterior work, like up on ladders and such. They didn't hold up. They were 1.5 to 2 year bags. For my current work, they're handled a lot less rough. This doesn't really ride on my shoulder. It's honestly too big for that. So that gets picked up and I have stuff on it right now, but it'll just get tied down to my Milwaukee pack out and I'll roll it down to my van and load it like that. So it gets handled a bit more gently than when I was doing residential cable. And as such, that survives reasonably well. You know, let's rotate this up a little bit. All right. Do I want to do the front pouch first? Sure. Let's go over the main working area. And here is just some reference stuff for some of the things I work with most often, access control stuff. A few miscellaneous parts, like just some connector pieces and a bit of spare twist wire, aerial lashing wire, but it's good for just tying things down. All right, let's go front to back. Got some hemostats just for grabbing onto things in tight areas. Organize those a little better. Various markers. Silver Sharpie, Milwaukee Inksol. I've tended to use those as my Sharpie of choice for black. here we have, I gotta be careful to have this at a working distance that you can see. It's a UV marker, and we'll get to things I use that with in a bit. A Robertson 2 has the most common Robertson bit that I'll have to work with. Magnetic Phillips adapter. This is just a mini holder for all of these, and this is like an O-ring removal kit. I use it just as fine working tools to get at small access things, or to hit a recessed reset button, things like that. Standard, a billion companies make a different version of it. The Milwaukee Fastback is pretty popular. I tend to like this as just, I don't have to flick it open, flick it closed. It's just a single thumb operation. That's the kind of utility knife I like to work with. This is the Klein 7-in-1 nut driver. They pop off and you can arrange them backwards and forwards, and they have a magnetic connector on them. This one's a little bit difficult to get through. I try to get everything so I don't have to mess around to access it. This is the one exception. This is the Vim Tools. This is the Vim Tools 1/4" / hex driver. So it's a fully functioning ratchet. Got cat hair on everything. It has a 1/4" drive for 1/4" sockets, but inside there it's also 1/4" hex. So all your 1/4" hex bits will work with it. Same for down here. You can mix and match how you configure this thing. It's very configurable. So right now you have a long reach, either 1/4" socket or 1/4" hex. Pop this up to neutral. Align that little tab, and now you have a T-handle. It's really, really versatile. I like it for that. Oh, I'm not putting it backwards. Yeah. There we go. So let's put this back in here. Nipex. I am a big fan of Nipex. I'm having to like check back and forth to make sure I'm in camera view. So I always have the pair of Cobra pliers and wrench pliers, or pliers wrench. If you know Nipex, you know about these already. They're excellent. Tucked down in here, I have just a little pair of CHP nippers. Basically Heiko brand for small electronics. And then in here I have the Nipex version of the screw removal pliers. I do find I like these over what I previously carried in here, which I'll grab for you. And I'll keep these on my bench. This is the Engineer Negisaurus Rex. Also an excellent screw removal plier. You can see it's open in there. The same way these are, a little bit of different profile. Yeah. But the Nipex head is narrower. You can get into tighter spaces. And it's lighter. So I just have to go with that for carrying in a tool bag. And then my diagonal cutters. Uh, the Nipex 200 millimeters are my favorite diagonal cutters ever. I love those things. But I guess I'm getting ahead of myself going up a level. Heading back over this way, we have just a little straight stabby pick. I use this for poking a lot of older access control stuff. We'll have just a little piece of sheet spring steel. You poke through a tiny little hole to open it and take a section out. It's useful for that. A couple of small tweaker screwdrivers. The 2.5 and the 3.0 millimeter by Vera. I do like Vera screwdrivers. And then little thing I did is use some silver Sharpie to have a dot in the center of one and just outline the outside of the other. So small head, large head at a glance. That's how I managed that. Nipex mini needle nose. Klein Tools automatic wire stripper. These are okay-ish. They're a bit finicky, but if you're used to them, you can use them well. So they grab both ends of wire, and then the idea is they'll strip it from there. That needs adjustment. That should still be grabbing. I'll need to futz with that. I find they work okay for 2 wires at a time, but you have to be really careful about how you adjust if you're doing 3 or 4 wires at a time. And okay. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to keep that down there. So I just hadn't used them in a bit. And something got a little stuck. Probably need to oil them. Other wire strippers for doing 1 wire at a time. Standard design, works fine. This is for a smaller gauge wire. 20 through 32. Also Klein brand. Just a piece of ground wire. I've cut the ends so they're little spikes. Just for bridging contacts, verifying that a relay goes to the correct output that I want to make sure it goes to. Here we have focus. Manually focus? Yeah. This is the 27-in-1 tamper set by Klein Tools. I have a few different ones that have this little recessed style of holder in there. And there's a bunch of different tamper bits, torques and such. You know, the ones with the hole in the center. Standard micro tampers. I also have this Weha set. Probably going to get manually focus. Try again in manually focus. Yeah. Weha 280. It has this little carousel at the top. You can remove it. You just slide that off and then take that off like that. But it's a neat little different storage solution for how to hold those kinds of bits. Beater flathead screwdriver, just for prying at things, for things that I want to use a flathead screwdriver for and not need to care if I damage it. Hey Roxy, you whiny little kitty. Come here, come say hi. This is Roxy, our other cat. She's very complaining. There you go. Continuing, already covered that. Little Benzomatic mini torch. Useful in the winter when you're working outdoors on wires to soften the jackets, to strip them. Um, I've used this all the time during winter for working with coax and getting it stripped down properly and getting the RG6 ends on them. Absolute lifesaver. Um, and just having heat available in electronics, as long as you have good finesse to get the right amount of heat and not burn something or set something on fire, uh, heat is a useful tool. I mean, as represented by like a hot air station, you can use that in the same way you would use a hot air station for various things. Not for fine solder work, definitely not, but there's a lot of applications where a correctly moderated amount of heat is quite useful. Slide this back on. Okay, so we got this Nipex cobalt pliers. Basically compound cut, or as it pliers, cobalt cutters, 250 millimeter, for cutting like deck screws and such down to size, so they'll go into the exact depth I want and no further. This is a Pika Dry automatic pencil, so it's just a very thick lead. It has good durability, and it's for getting a mark into tight to access places. It's a very nice pencil, and for the occasional use I have for it, I like that a lot. The classic Mega Pro tamper-proof carousel set. It has spanner, I think a few Robertson, no, not Robertson, security hex, security Torx. A Sharpie yellow paint marker. I believe this one's oil-based. Sometimes you need an oil paint, so I have that around. In terms of hand tools, I believe these are the newest ones. Actually, let me come back to that in just a second. I'm going to pause. All right, I'm back. Mouth is a bit dry. I needed some water. All right. So, vessel screwdrivers. For a while, I just had a Klein standard flathead and Phillips in there. And I've been hearing about these vessel ball head screwdrivers, and I've got to say, the hype is not hype. These things are absolutely great. For my bench, I have this. This is what I got first, just for my electronics workbench, and it's a hex head, so I can use long driver bits in it. Specifically when I'm using some of the smaller security Torx that Milwaukee batteries use to disassemble those and rebalance the batteries. And yeah, the feel of this, the torque you get on it without having to expend, without having to grip hard, without having to put effort into it. This is really well designed. The ball head design is kitties. Be less whiny. The ball head design is really good. Now, to be fair, if you set this down, it's quite capable of just rolling away, kind of in a big circle. So that might be, fixable by having a hex cutout or something. But the feel in the hand, on the palm, to turn that and turn that here, the amount of effortless leverage this design gives you is just wonderful to work with. I can't say enough good things about it. It's a great design. I'm very much sold. The Vera 6 gun, so to speak. I've put in the most common bits I need. So this is if I just need to take a couple things and go into a site. Usually that'll be this, one of the tweakers, this for low voltage stuff, this to get wires in, the tweaker to tighten down screw blocks, and this for most of the other stuff. But I like that design. I really do. That's very clever, and it accepts just whatever bits you want to get at the right size. So I have a spanner 6, standard Phillips and flathead because that's always useful, and a few security torques in there, the most common security torques that I work with. It's a 20, 15, and 10. Engineer scissors. These are the PH55. Very, very nice, very sharp scissors. I'm most often just cutting tape with them, but yeah, the engineer makes good tools. There's a little zip tie collection back there, and that's the main working area. Something I'll kind of skip to while I'm here is this little guy. This is a hero clip. This is the, let's see if we can get that on focus. Yeah, this is the 60-pound model. I think this is still the largest one. So with this, let's see if I put that in, I may have put that in backwards, but whatever. The idea is, for me, yeah, I did put it in backwards. Let's fix that. So if I have this up against an industrial metal door, and I need somewhere, like there's nowhere to have working height space, I'll take this. The back of this will be against the back of the door. This, actually no, I did have it right the first time. This will hook over the top of the doorway. You don't want to do it with like a lightweight hollow core door. That would be too much strain on it. But the heavy industrial metal doors, they're fine. They'll support this. So I hang it off there, hang this down, and now I have this little working table space where I can set down what I'm working on, strip wires, set them there. It really makes this an extra level of useful. This hang down flap that stops at 90 degrees, yeah. What? Oh, okay. All right, main compartment or back? Now let's go around the sides. Make sure this is still, no, it's not. All right, we're gonna shift this bag over to the main bench, I think. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna pause this and get everything set back up so we can get a better perspective there. Okay, and we're resuming. So on this side, I just have a couple of El Cheapo door stops, the kind that if I lose this, I don't care. They're 2 for $1.59 or whatever at Lowe's. And then the nice doorstop, which it's a wedget. So these are nice because they have different working angles for different gaps of door. You can also hook it over the hinge side and have it stop there. And you can hook it over, basically you can get this in the top of the doorway, wedge it there, It's this really versatile doorstop. Doorstops may not be the sexiest thing in the world, but yeah, really useful. And then, standard lockout, tagout lock. I don't often need to use these, but I have one for the rare situations where I'm working with that kind of stuff. I'm mostly low voltage though. A little pouch of screw clips. This is ground wire size. And then in this pouch, we have a little bit of spare double-sided tape and black electrical tape and RG6 size screw clips for, I really don't do coax much anymore, but 22.4, 22.6 wire, these will work fine for that. Let's rotate this around on this side. Over here, this is a Dr. Prepare brand El Cheapo Amazon special. It's Chinesium. Not all Chinesium is actually bad. It's more that it's really random crapshoot as to what you get. But some of it randomly will end up being good, at least for its price point. This is. So, it's a magnetic base. You have an articulating light here. So it's either a forward light or it's a light bar. And you stick that on whatever surface you have available that's magnetic. And you have working light, so that already makes it very versatile. And it is a, admittedly, kind of anemic output. Still micro USB, not USB-C. Battery bank. And regular USB-A. And that gives me a lot of versatility. I've used this a lot. It has, unfortunately, it's not like you can just pop open the compartment and swap out the batteries. They're soldered in or spot welded in. But it's a double 18650, so it lasts for quite a long time. And it fits right in there conveniently. Over here, I have just a custom-made, this is out of the top of a whiskey bottle box. It covered the top of the bottle. And I've just duct taped a little magnet there. And I can stick it on surfaces and put screws on it. Very useful to have. Unscrewing something, you don't want to lose the screws, you don't want to misplace them. Useful to have. Further down there, standard USB power adapter. And let's make sure this is well in camera. Yeah. All right. Here we have the back section. Over here we have a couple key sets. These are basically common access keys for access control stuff, for all the common security locks that are just keyed the same and are known to the industry to be keyed the same. Like here we have the, is this the F01 or F401? FE01K. That's, I think, more often an elevator key. I have another one right here. Or the like CH545 key. Like all of the locks, if you have a van with internal drawers in them, they're pretty much all CH545s. So common keys for common locks. This is just the tip for, that's kind of stuck down there. It's this Fluke toner wand. And there we go. So I've learned from experience, you don't necessarily want to keep this probe tip installed, lest it snap off. So I just have that down there. That's the Fluke Pro 3000 probe. I have the toner transmitter down in there, but I'm going out of order. Let's start here, I guess. So this is just a USB-C cord, just as a spare way to store that. Here we have 18650 powered dual bandwidth UV light. This is 365 and 395 nanometer light, just for checking for UV reactive dye, or if you're writing notes on something on a device in ultraviolet pen, that's for inspecting that. 90-degree little poker. It serves the same purpose as the Slim Jim. Yeah, it's just for opening common latch access. You can hear my cat again, or maybe you can't. I'm not sure if the audio is picking that up. Some more USB cord. Let's turn that on. Klein Tools non-contact voltage detector. You always want to have one, so your circuit is live. Milwaukee ink saws of different colors and a spare black in case I lose the first one, which happens, or I need a finer point and I've worn the first one down too much. We already went over the Fluke toner. The finest, cheapest telecom butt set. So it's basically just a phone. It has a standard phone plug, but I have an adapter kit in there that lets me use punch down blocks and little needle probes to get at telco. So in here we have a little lamp adapter. That is part of this kit. This is the Klein Tools Echo Tango 301 circuit toner, basically. Same function as this. Plug this into a circuit and you can tone out. Yeah, let's turn that off. And you can tone out where that circuit is and find which breaker it's on, shut off that breaker. It's useful to have. So if you want to be able to find like a screw-in lamp post, if that's the only thing you can find for the circuit you want to turn off, then this is the adapter for that. Couple of alligator clips, just a further adapter for the toner. So this is a little breakout box for either Cat 5 or Cat 6, or you can use it for like an RJ11 phone plug to be able to clip leads onto those. down here, so here we have the toner portion of that Fluke 3000, and you can probably guess why I have this covering that button. I actually think I also disconnected the battery, or maybe I didn't and it still died. I don't know. I'm not gonna make you watch the run through it, but yeah, I've had too many times where that button will get pressed and it'll just drain the battery out. So I'm pretty sure I have the battery either out or disconnected, and this is a backup in case I forget to do that when I store it again, to further protect that button from getting touched. Down there. USB power meter. It's basically a specialty narrow focus multimeter just for USB power. I work with a lot of USB powered devices. The manufacturer found that having a USB power brick to power their low voltage electronics was the most cheap, feasible solution. So this is useful without having to get needle probes out to figure out what's going on with the USB power. Not make you watch it, or watch me go through putting stuff back together. Oh yeah, so if that disconnected, that's fine. So, standard stuff finder. Yeah, this one detects metal, detects voltage. It's basically an all-in-one. If you need to drill into a wall to tell you, hey, are you going to have to drill into metal? Is there power behind where you're going to drill? Nice little thing. Another UV marker, the Edding 8280. Oh, I guess I didn't cover this. Bump hammer for that kit. We'll get to that in a second. So a lot of what I do is low voltage, access control, security, and sometimes for the same reason as I have those out of the camera view. No, okay. Yeah, for the same reason I have those common access keys. I'll need to open locks, and sometimes facility maintenance won't have the right key. So these are tubular lockpicks. It's just a set for the 3 most common different sizes of those. It's so seldom that these ever come into play. I don't think I've ever actually had to use these even once in a professional sense, but I have them there in case I need them. Standard lockpicks, though, I have many times had to use in the course of my job. And that is this kit right here. I use this Sparrow's case. I like them a lot. They make a lot of good, reasonably priced equipment. So we'll open this up. We have some bump keys in there, hinge knockout, key decoder, just for reading keys, plug spinner. If you pick a lock the wrong direction, it's totally annoying to realize that, especially if it took you a while. Yeah, I got it open and crap, I picked it the wrong way. So a plug spinner is definitely something you want to have. What else do we have in here? A few of the most common picks. A couple rakes, like a standard snake and a triple peak Bogota kind of profile. 2 single pin picks. A bunch of turning tools. These are more bump keys. Turning tools. Decoder for rotary locks. Turning tools down there, top of keyway turning tools. And I use that for like the job of broken key extractor. It works okay. Let's see if I can put this together in a reasonably timely manner. Good enough. So, yeah, tubular lockpick, pretty much never needed. I got it because it could come up. It never really came up. Still, I don't regret buying it. It wasn't too expensive. It's nice to have that if eventually a situation like that does come up. Then you can feel all smug for having gotten the proper tool for the job ahead of time. All right. So now, we can get to the main compartment. Let's see if we can give you a top-down view. Well, actually, maybe we can do better. I want to see if I can reorient this tripod. Hold on for a sec. Okay. I saw the timer on this and realized how long I'm going with this video. Jeez. So, main compartment. Trash bag. Because you end up with stripping wire, opening up manufacturer boxes, and you get trash. So, always have a trash bag. El Cheapo Chinesium headlamp that I have loved this model of for years. Dual 18650. You can put in your own batteries. It lasts a very long time without charge. And this is what I've used ever since residential cable. This model anyway. I have a bunch of them. You can get them for like 10 or 15 bucks. And for that price point, this thing's great. There are some instances where the cheap tool is the right tool, and I believe that is one of them. Recent acquisition from an auction, industrial auction. I've wanted one of these for a while. I could never justify the price point. Panduit zip tie cutter, like precision zip tie flush cutter. Always wanted one of these. Finally got one. You can adjust it for different tensions. And yeah, this thing's great. Let's see. Hike Micro B20 thermal camera. Let's see if I've charged this recently enough. Yeah. So it takes a second to boot up. It doesn't respond instantly for... Oops. Yeah, very smooth. It doesn't respond instantly for like very fast transitions, but it's 25 frames a second, so it's much better than the standard ITAR restricted 9 frame per second stuff. Chinese industry now has reasonable thermal sensors, so they're easily accessible. And yeah, you can look at electronics, find hotspots, find where energy is getting dissipated into heat. Thermal imaging is an excellent tool to have. turn this off. It also has a little shield to cover up that thermal sensor. Also down here is one of the very few M12 tools I have. Almost all of my Milwaukee tools, I'm Team Red, just to simplify and stay in one battery ecosystem. Almost all of my Milwaukee tools are M18, but for space and weight constraints, I decided to go with the hydraulic surge. And yeah, this guy is powerful, zippy. I like this. I have the Klein flip bit on here for either 1/4 inch or 5/16 cent or hex with a magnet on the end. It's a nice little thing. My main multimeter, the Fluke 289. It is, in my opinion, the top of the line best you can get for handheld multimeter capabilities. Obviously, all right, I'm not going to be able to reorient that way, but let's detach this. So, obviously, there are better multimeters than any handheld. That's like 50,000 count, and that's 6.5 digits. Or this one is 5.5 digit, just under 200,000 count. So there are obvious limitations to anything that is hand portable, but the Fluke 289 is, in my opinion, the top of the line that you can have in a handheld package. And I have I have kept this around for years as my multimeter of choice for in the bag. Runs on AAAs. I use lithium primaries in there, and then just have a nice variety of accessories like the magnetic clip to clip it on things, some Pomona leads. So yeah, that is my handheld multimeter choice for field work. Now, in fairness, I do also have kind of get around to get this, the EEV blog 121 GW meter, and I like this for bench work, for like special purpose bench work, because it's designed for electronics hobbyist, but for field work, the Fluke. Put this back where it goes. All right. So that's the main multimeter. We also have a second multimeter. And that is the Fluke 377 with that field sense technology they have where you can get voltage and current at the same time. It's a nifty little thing. I also really like this clamshell hardshell case. It's a very nice design. And then in back there you have the twist guard leads where you can rotate that and it'll expose the full lead, or you can have as default and you'll have the higher voltage rated, just the top of the lead exposed. and current probe. So for high amperage measurement, that's what I keep the non-contact meter around for. Down in the bottom of there, we have one spare Cat 5 cable for if one of those is needed, and a cute tiny little hammer for if I have to get a nail back in somewhere. It's not what I'm doing all day, but sometimes it's useful to have one. Up here, we have the Flipper Zero. So, as I mentioned, I do low voltage security and access control. And for reading RFID cards and making sure, hey, does this have what it's supposed to have on it? Are these two cards identical? You can check. You can like read the hex code off of a couple of cards and make sure that they are actually keyed the same way. Then we have this cute little Prux Grind RFID field detector. It'll tell you if it's low frequency or high frequency field active. A little USB cable back there. And in here is just basically a universal USB adapter. So USB-C or USB micro on that side, and then USB-A or USB-C there. Basically allows you to convert. Oh, and it has a little nice magnet to stick it together. So convert whatever USB to whatever other USB. It's not a tool I need often, but it's a very much nice to have on the occasions where you want to read an RFID card. There's a ton of other stuff you can do with it, but I'm the first to admit that I barely use all the capabilities of the flipper there. Next up, I already have a video out on this. This is my field soldering kit. It is based around let's just take this out. Based around this little mini soldering iron. And I'm suddenly forgetting the name of the company that makes this. One moment. Yeah, okay. It's the Pine-Sil. It's a very price accessible, made by and made for hobbyists. It's the same company that makes this little USB power supply that I use to power my lighting over there. Yeah. Pine-Sil soldering iron, $26. I mean, they price it to make no money off of it, just enough to sustain your operations and get it into your hands cheaply and easily. It is a great product. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into this. I have a video on it already. But the Anker battery pack for portable power, if I need to solder in some situation where I don't have a 120 volt plug available. And then various solder and heat shrink and all the stuff you need for soldering. Going further, we have this little box of all the different connector leads. One of the recent additions are these little magnetic jumpers. So sometimes you have to bridge a connector and leave it like that and then walk away to make sure, hey, did that door open? And I mean, you can screw in a wire, but speed, time is money. So if you can, assuming they're not like aluminum screws or whatever, just jumper with magnets, yeah, the thing's great. Then we have all the various adapters for the telephone butt set, other multimeter leads, the cheaper set of leads, expendable leads such as the little needle probes. I mean, if you've used needle probes before, like on a use them multiple times basis, you know that they're kind of consumable items. They stop being sharp after a while. They'll bend and such. Regular alligator jumpers. Just a little bin of connectors and some screws. 1/4-inch hex, small little self-tappers, crimp connectors, and 3 different sizes of screw connectors. There are twist tie connectors. Gloves. Always useful to have gloves. That always wants to pop open. Some spare 4 conductor wire and a little bit less spare 6 conductor wire. And then over on this side, that's my primary storage for double-sided tape and electrical tape. Yeah, that's it. Jeez, that took an hour. So I guess I'll upload this. I'm probably at some point when I work up the combination of mental energy and spare time, I'll try to make a shorter version of this because holy crap, that was an hour. Thank you to all of you who stuck around this long. You're insane. But yeah, still thank you. And signing off.